Hello and welcome back. This is the MoonBound Podcast and I'm Julia. And I would like to welcome you to my kitchen. We're back in the kitchen. This is primarily a podcast about knitting and spinning and all of those crafty type things. I don't have any, and weaving and sometimes crochet and all of that sort of thing. So I would like to thank everyone who is a returning viewer, and I'd like to thank everyone who is just checking me out for the first time. Those of you who are returning, I really appreciate your support, and those of you who are brand new, welcome. So let's jump right in. I have an almost finished, it's still almost finished object today. It is my split back tank, which is kind of all tangled up right now. This is blocked. I do not have the ends tucked yet, but I have edged the sides. I like how that looks. That looks good. I've already actually done the neckline once and took it out. I wanted to increase the overlap here. I initially had it only the white parts. That white strip was overlapped, and I'm kind of using this stitch holder as a safety pin to see how I like it. I'm going to try this on and see if I think that that hangs nicer, and I may increase it yet before I do the crocheted edge. And then once I have that done the way I like it, then I'm going to tuck in all of the tails, and then this will be finished. This is 6 balls of Fiber Natura Seesaw, and the colorway is Night, and it is really smooth. It is kind of soft, but it's more smooth soft than soft. The white on the bottom is Tahiti, and the cat has found us. It is all cotton and seesaw, and I'm looking forward to wearing it when the weather is a little bit nicer. It was 50 today. That's insane. So there's that project done. I have not done anything yet with the shawl. It's lived in here. I worked on that. So the Multnomah shawl has had no progress made. We have tea today. This is a blueberry herbal because it is late at night. I originally shot this afternoon, and I wasn't used to this setup anymore, so I had the camera focused right here, which is not really what I wanted. So this is take number 2. I have, however, made a fair amount of progress on the socks. This is the Union Square pattern by Expat Knitting Designs, which is Mina Phillip, and this is part of her New York sock collection. And I have both heels done, and the gusset stitches are not only picked back up, but also we're finished with the decrease there. So I'm ready to just cruise. I am not going to continue the pattern that is on the leg. Let's see if you can. Onto the foot. I just don't really like patterning on the foot, and these are for me, so why put it there if I don't want it? And they are slightly different left to right. So this is where I was when last you saw them, and here we are now. I am going to put in a progress keeper so that I can show you how much I did this coming week. I'm actually hoping to have them off the needles and on my feet, but we'll see. Does anyone else do that? When I was little, I thought it was so silly that my grandmother, when she was concentrating, would stick out her tongue. And I catch myself doing it all the time. Grandmas. I did spend a little bit of time looking at getting gauge for this skein of yarn, which is Brooks Farm yarns, and it is Ellie is the name of this yarn. I don't know if it's still available. I bought this years ago. This is all tangled. So I didn't like it in the size 11s, like I said last time. This is on size 9s. I'm not completely sold. And this is on size 8s. And I'm getting to like it a little bit better. The problem is it's not going to work for that shawl. Even held with another fiber, I think it produces an interesting look. This highly textured thing going on, but I don't think that is well suited for this shawl. So I am still going to knit this at some point, but not with this yarn. I would prefer to make 2 shawls that I'm happy with, as opposed to one shawl that was on the plan, this yarn and this pattern that I picked, and then not really like it. I think that something that's just knit very simply to show off the difference that's already in the yarn makes more sense than to try to do a more complicated pattern where the yarn is actually going to get in the way of the patterning. So that's a slight disappointment, but I think I'm really going to like the way it turns out. I just have to be sensible about my choices. And so that's where that is. I finished washing this skein of yarn, and I really like the way it turned out. Now I spent a long time talking about ways to measure yarn, measure the length in our last video. Kind of as an aside, it wasn't something that I intended to talk about really, but I tangented. And so I've dug out 2 other skeins of yarn that I also rewashed this week. These were part of my Spinzilla spin, and I got really aggressive with washing this one, so it needs to be reskeined. It's kind of all over the place. But it was still partially dirty when I spun it, so that was a mistake. But I think it's pretty clean now. And I am going to put together a little clip, and I'm going to insert it at some point in the sentence of how you use the McMorran yarn balance, which I happen to have right here. This is Yarn to Yarn Balance is the company that makes them now. I was going to open this up before I turned the camera on. As you can tell, I didn't do that. And I keep it all wrapped up because it is just acrylic and could break if I dropped it. And we've covered the part where I'm a klutz. So basically you just lay the yarn in here and you find the spot where the yarn is perfectly balanced, then you measure it, and there's a whole guide here and set of instructions on this side for how you come up with the length per pound, the yards per pound. So that is how this works, and I'm going to do a whole little video clip on that, which hopefully I will insert here. Hi, I thought I would show you how to use a McMorran scale to weigh your yarn. So we have our tools here, trusty pencil, some paper, a pair of scissors. We have 2 different wraps per inch tools. We have the yarn we're going to be measuring, and we have a scale. And the bag the stuff came out of, and the lid to the scale, and this cool glittery thing. All right, so the first thing, that was awful. First thing we're gonna do is figure out the focal length. All right, first thing we're gonna do is find the end of the yarn. And cut ourselves a piece. Now, I did mention that this is kind of a wasteful process. So you need to start out with a nice long piece. I'm gonna move the camera simply so I can see what I'm doing as I'm talking to you, as opposed to like trying to peek out of the corner. The first thing I'm gonna do is measure the wraps per inch. Now, there's this kind of wraps per inch tool, and anything similar, anything where you're actually physically wrapping the wool around the yarn works like this. There's usually some place you put it, and then you're not actually wrapping it around the tool, you're wrapping the tool. Go down there. And you're trying not to add any more twist to the yarn and getting it in there. Now, I should be counting this as I'm doing it, but I'm explaining how to do it, so I'm not counting. So this method has the ability to change the twist. If you're not doing it really accurately, if you're squishing it in too tight, which I probably am while I'm talking to you, you can get an inaccurate reading. If you're twisting the yarn more than you're twisting this thing, rather than the tool, you'll get a different reading. So that is how those work. This tool will give you the same answer. It is also something that I use when I'm spinning to make sure that I'm on target for where I want to be. You just pull the fiber, the bit of yarn that you've made out, and you hold it underneath the card, and you hold it, but I'm not putting a super amount of tension there. I'm just kind of keeping it straight. And then you decide, I'm looking at it, not through the camera, and you decide where you think it best lines up. And I would say that this is 20 wraps per inch. This is exactly what I was going for, which is good. So I'm going to record that. While I was doing this skein that I just showed you in particular, I was using the control card and keeping close track of that. So I spun each single to a 40 wraps per inch. And then when you spin them, when you ply them together, you should get the 20 that I was aiming for. Okay, so then we have this guy. I'm not going to demonstrate wrapping it around the other wrap each time. I think, hold on. I think you need to have something behind that to see what I'm doing better. So you just would line it up. Having the book back there is easier for you to see, but it is actually applying a little bit of tension and making it a little harder. And I would say that that is a 28. And check at the, no, 28. And I was not aiming at anything when I was doing that particular spin. That was part of my Spinzilla. So what I was aiming at was going as fast as I can. I'd also recommend slightly longer scissors because I'm having trouble getting both of them together in the cut. So then you just measure the length. $13 1/4. 13.25. Would be your yards per pound. This is not hard math at all. 1450 is your yards per pound here, and 1925 is your yards here. Okay. So then you just need to do a ratio to figure out how long you have. So in 1 pound, I'll just do this one because that's where I have the space for it. And I'm probably not going to do dividing in my head. I'm probably going to do a calculator. I don't know why I whispered that. I'm sure you can hear it. So let's see if I can reach through the tripod here. In 1 pound, you have 1,925 yards. In 2.3 ounces, how much will you have? So you have 16x. So this is 4969 rounded. And then you would divide that by 16. And because I didn't round it on my calculator, I'm getting a longer number, but that is your yardage. And then if we do this one, times 5.35, we get, ooh, sorry, 7.758, rounding. And I am rounding down on this last line because I want a underconfident estimation of how much yarn there is there. Although I am rounding up there just because, you know. Okay, so we have 276 yards of this in 2.3 ounces. We have 310 yards of this one in 3.75 yards, and we have a really big tangly mess, and we have 448 yards in this one in 5.35 ounces. So that is how you use a McMorran scale. Because I'm going to rescan it anyway, I am going to also do the other method where I wrap it around a 2 skein nitty nutty and multiply, and then count the strands and multiply it by 2. And I'm going to compare those numbers. I suspect that this is going to be more accurate, but we'll see. I'm not, however, going to take a video of that because watching me count to 484 would be quite tedious. Or I suppose it would be 242, but still tedious. So one of the other things I worked on this week that's getting too strong, was my card weaving. I have it wrapped up in a shawl, And I actually used this as a belt and then tied off using it in a backstrap loom kind of situation. I don't particularly care for that, but I think that that is because it forces me to work too far forward, and I'd like to work right in front of me. So I'm going to figure something out and build myself something. This is what I did during the class that I took, which I've shown you before. And this is what I did on Thursday, which is about a year. If you'll notice, the pattern is not quite the same, nor is the thickness. And that is based on how I was doing it. So these cards, have letters. They don't have to have letters. They just have to have somewhere so you know where you're starting from. And you have the one end, let's not twist this. You have the one end tied off to something. You have the working end tied off to you. And as you're working, you rotate the cards, and that changes your shed, which one's up, which one's down, that sort of thing. And there's a danger because you're tied off that if you just keep going in the same direction, this end ends up in a twisty mess. So what you do is you go forward a number of turns and then you go backward a number of turns, which is why it's marked so that you know where you are on the card. Did you get back to the starting point? The marking also helps with threading the different colors through the cards. And so this is both of these colors here are a 4-4. So forward, 4 back, 4 forward. What I did was I started with the A in a different position. At least that's what I think I did. Having said that, I really like the second better, which is why I didn't spend a lot of time trying to get back to this. And also I was a little tense here, which is why this is much thinner. I don't know if you can, how well you can see that. This is much thinner than the later portions, and this is pretty consistent throughout the whole thing. I'm not yet certain what I'm going to do with it. One of the ladies in the guild had made a very lovely bracelet with a piece of it and metal findings. So other people have talked about belts. I was jokingly talking about suspenders. Okay, I wasn't joking, but my son thought I was joking. He doesn't want me to make him suspenders, which is sad. Because you're going forward and back, I made myself this handy dandy little cheat sheet, which I left on my leg, turning forward when the arrow was pointing toward my knees and turning backward when the arrow was pointing toward me. Having something to help you remember which way you're going is important, because working your way back out of a tangle is frustrating. But I really do like doing this. I'm going to do some more over the coming weeks and I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to do some more over the coming weeks so that I have some examples to take it to the Spinning Guild. I said that I would show you some of the wool potluck. So here it is. Obviously, there's more. There's 2 garbage bags full. I am going to start spinning this up pretty much right away. But that isn't, I mean, yeah. And part of the reason I'm spinning it right up is because of what I bought at the Midwest Fiber Frolic. I said I was going to buy myself a pretty braid. I was going to buy myself some color that was ready to go to play with. Brown's a color. Brown is a color. But I saw this. This is Himalayan yak. And I don't know if you know this, but yak is my favorite fiber. I really like spinning lots of different fibers. I love spinning Wensleydale. And in most circumstances, if you ask me what my favorite spinning wool is, I'm going to say Wensleydale. It spins beautifully and it's shiny. But then there's yak. And yak is wonderful. It's soft. I'm just like nestling in here so you can tell that it is super, super soft. It is also a super short fiber. Actually, that's pretty good for yak. And so, because I've been spinning really long wools lately, I'm going to spin this short fiber so that my fingers are on the ball when I start to spin this. This really is a braid, honest, and it doesn't, well, yeah, I've been petting it a lot. But this is going to become a lace yarn, and then I am going to weave a baby blanket out of it. I'm going to spin it woolen and do a very simple weave, nothing that puts too much texture or anything into it. A friend of mine is having a baby, hence baby blanket. It's very logical at the middle of the night. Yeah, that's really getting strong. That's like eating 3 pints of blueberries in 1 cup. It's good, but it's very strong. But in any event, she did her thesis work on yak domestication and did lots of research into mapping out areas in Illinois that would be suitable for yak farming, specifically on small scale farming, like homesteads and such, and perhaps in co-ops and women farming. Women farmers, women farming. There's no women farming. And we both just share this appreciation for yak. So when I found out that she was expecting, I had to get some yak. And they had a braid of yak. So yak is just an amazing creature. It is capable of being ridden. You can use it to pull a plow or a cart. You can cuddle them. Most people I know have not cuddled an ox, but cuddling an ox is actually quite nice. When you give them their food, they lean into you like, thank you, human, you brought me the food. And ox cuddles are nice, but I'm told, I haven't ever actually cuddled a yak, I'm told that yaks by nature are more friendly and more social creatures and don't mind socializing with humans. And so they're very appreciative, and they only get more friendly with contact with humans, which makes them very, very good for small farmers. You can make dairy products, milk, butter, cheese, that sort of thing from them. Their meat is eaten in Tibet, and you can brush them and get their down coats and produce what is actually my favorite fiber on the planet. I prefer it to cashmere. So, I love me some yak. I got it from Spry Whimsy. There's their logo and their info, and I'm hoping that's coming through. If you do not know Peter and Ingrid, and they're at a fiber festival anywhere near you, find them, make friends. They are just absolutely wonderful people. And she is a spinning teacher and also does a whole bunch of other stuff, including find the thing that you love the best about spinning. If you start talking to her, all of a sudden she puts into your hand the thing you were looking for that maybe you didn't know you were looking for. And her husband is just this really friendly man who is an amazing felting artist, and he teaches it and he makes it look so simple, like effortless. And his hats are artwork. So if you don't know them, if you haven't been to their shop, if you haven't found them at a fiber festival, find them, make friends. In their store, well, in their booth, I also found this spindle, which can be done as a drop or as a supported spindle. And it just goes forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And it is made by Uncharted Waters, and they do wood carving, wood turning, and carved Santas, and they're out of Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. I don't know them, but I really like their work. Still going, in case I can't tell what you can see or not. So the shaft is maple. The whorl is a dyed ash, and I'm completely in love with this spindle. They have all sorts of colors, all sorts of weights. This one is 2.5 ounces. I think this is the biggest one I saw there, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the biggest one that they have. And they had smaller ones. So you should make friends with Peter and Ingrid, and you should buy a spindle. Or not. You don't have to. You don't have to do what I tell you, but you should do it. I also picked up a copy of Ply magazine. This issue is the winter 2017 issue number 19, and it is talking about planning and prep work, and I've only read one article, so that's as much as I know. So I'm looking forward to digging in on that while I was at the festival. Now, I mentioned that I got there and I took a partial walk around, and then I found Ingrid and I played. I played on a Firefly, which is Spinolution's electric spinner, for a long time. I was spinning up some Shetland she handed me, and it was so smooth and so beautiful, and it worked so well, and I really love the little foot pedal thing. I did not think that I was going to like the foot pedal thing, because I was thinking like a sewing machine foot pedal where you have to maintain pressure and you have to keep it down, and it's fighting against you. This is actually more like 2 metal plates that you're just standing on, and when you lift your foot up, it stops the machine. When you step back down, it restarts the machine, which is not what I was expecting it to be. I expected it to, and it's really thin. It's like literally that thin. So it doesn't cause any strain on your foot. You don't have to have it. It will work without it, but lots of people seem to prefer it starts slow. I don't know. I played with it both ways. The foot pedal was nicer than I thought, but I don't know. I don't know that it's necessary. Maybe if I were doing a lot, I would find that more of a requirement. But I really, really liked it. It was nice. It was really nice. The other purchase I made was soap. There's always a soap person at any kind of craft festival I've ever been to. There's always at least one person selling soap. And this, I actually didn't catch the guy's name. He was really, really nice. Very knowledgeable about his stuff. He talked to me about how both of the bars that I bought were made. And I do sometimes make soap, so it wasn't like it was this, that I wasn't able to follow the conversation. So this is by the Soap Passion Company. And this is his honey lemon vodka. And the vodka he uses is the citrus honey vodka from the Great Lakes Distillery, and it smells awesome. Obviously, I can't smell any vodka in it, but there is vodka in it. It is a very pretty, gentle citrus scent. And this is going to sound really strange. The soap smells clean. It isn't a real heavy, perfumey kind of scent. So, really like that one. And then, the other one I got is the Boulevard Bitters, which is a Bitter Cube brand, which is a Wisconsin thing. And they're actually my favorite bitters. And this the smells just wonderful. And what he was saying was that he takes the mash after they've finished making the bitters, and he cooks the alcohol off and uses the remaining liquid that's there as the liquid base in his water or in his soap, and this smells really good. I don't want to drink it though. I mean, I'm out of Boulevard bitters, but I don't want to drink the soap. That's kind of silly. I'm kind of silly in the middle of the night. Okay, so that is what I have for you today. I'm excited about all of these projects. I am excited about some other stuff that I'm working on kind of behind the scenes that my husband is helping me with. I am going through and going to be inventorying everything that I have that's going to be for sale for the shop, and I'm going to be setting up my show dates now that I'm starting to move around a lot more. I still need to clean everything and get everything organized, but progress is being made, and so that'll be good. And I think that as I do the inventory, I'm going to show off some of the skeins that I have in the inventory right now so that people get a better idea of what's available. And then, talk about the skeins as I put them up so people can see them. And if you fall in love with something and want to buy it, great. If you just want to hang out and knit with me, that's cool too. I find that the people that have the best stuff, the things I most want to buy, are also the people who just want to sit and chat. They're interested in you. They're interested in the things that you're excited about in crafting. And I want to be one of those people for you. I want to know what you want to craft. I want to hear about the things you're working on. Excuse me. Which is, of course, why I'm sitting alone in my kitchen right now. Okay, maybe that part didn't make sense. But it is why I started this. It is why I want to be a part of the podcasting community. And so just because I'm trying to sell you stuff doesn't mean I feel like you have to buy. I want to know what you're doing and your thoughts on what I'm doing, even if we never meet in person. Because I love these crafts. I love knitting, and I love spinning, and I love weaving, and I love crochet. And some of my best times have been working or talking or planning about those sort of things. So I hope that you feel the same way, that you love those things too. And I'm spinning this. I don't know if it's out of camera or not. I'm spinning the spindle. In any event, I hope that you're having a wonderful time and that you have found some things that inspire you and make you feel happy, even if they're only in your hands for a short period of time. And try not to spin your hair into your projects. So I'm going to sign off and wish you a wonderful week and happy crafting. Good night.